I thought that was so amazing. He's like, I live on 10, was it 10% of his income he lives on? And not
100%.
granted, he's huge up here, but still, like, guys, even if it's saving 10% to start and working on that and building that up as it grows, because it snowballs quick. Like 100%, I don't think anyone can understand how quick investing compounds and snowballs if you don't let your lifestyle raise with it. That's the most important thing, is don't bring your lifestyle up as you make more money.
All right, guys, here we go now. It is time to unlock more doors to deals. We're real estate investors here. We're real estate agents here, and we all have one thing in common. We believe that we can. We can live the life of our purpose. We can create financial freedom. We can build a better life for those that we love, and we can live the life of our dreams. I don't care if you're trying to do your first deal or your 500th this year. You can get to the next level, and we're here to help. Welcome to Doors to Deals. I'm your host and founder, Jim Manning. Today's episode can be found on doorstodeals.com/085. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new segment. We're going to give you a little more variety. And welcome to Doors to Deals. I'm your host and founder, Jim Manning. Today's episode can be found on doorstodeals.com/085. Today we have a new segment. We're calling it Business Bets, and it's came from direct feedback from our audience. So what our audience, the feedback we got was, hey Ryan, hey Jim, hey Caleb, hey Jason, you guys are doing over 600 deals a year. It's great that you're interviewing all these people, but when you interview them, they talk most of the time. We'd like to learn more from you guys on what's going on in your business, what problems you're having to solve, how you grew it, and what's important to you. So that's what we're going to do here in Business Bits. The first topic is going to be about financial freedom. We thought that that's really going to intro this. That'd be the most important thing to start with, because it's kind of the whole point, guys. It's the whole point of business is to generate wealth for you. It's so that you can get off the hamster wheel and that you can live the life that you want to, right? And without understanding and thinking about and developing a knowledge base around this topic, all of it can be for naught. So that's where we're starting, guys. Excited to bring this to you. Before we get started, let's go into our review of the week.
This week's review comes to us from Ryan Wessels, titled Storyteller, 5 stars. Ryan writes, Jim does a wonderful job of asking questions. These questions dig in and help discover insights on stories that help others with all things real estate related. Ryan, thank you for your review. Jim, back to you.
All right, thanks for the review of the week. If you're getting any value at all on these episodes, please help us spread the word, share the love, write us a review. We'd really appreciate it. So no more talk from me. Let's get into that interview.
All right, guys. Jim, Caleb, and Ryan here. We have another episode of Doors to Deals. Today, we thought it'd be fun to mix it up a little bit and just have an open forum, open question around the topic of financial freedom. And for those of you that are tuning in, if I have any sort of audio issues or it's not quite the quality you're accustomed to, I apologize. My daughter just got COVID, actually, so I'm kind of doing this from our playroom at home. I wasn't planning on being self-quarantined. Just figured that out literally 5 minutes, 10 minutes before us recording this. So. The COVID world, have to kind of be on your toes sometimes. So anyway, so let's open this up, guys. So financial freedom, what does that, first and foremost, what's that mean to you guys, and why is that so important? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, to me, financial freedom is the ability to not have stress and be able to focus on more important things, building relationships, helping other people, because when all of your bills and your expenses are taken care of, the weight that lifts off your shoulders, that opens you up to so many more possibilities. What you can accomplish is huge, in my opinion. And to me, I think a lot of people don't realize how easily obtainable financial freedom can be and how it compounds. So I think getting that message out there more and talking about it's super important.
Yeah, financial freedom.
So, Ryan.
Yeah, I was muted, but I wasn't talking. Financial freedom means it's not a stress-free life because we all have stressors. However, one of the most stressful things that we all have in our lives is that of money. So financial freedom eliminates the biggest stress, arguably, in someone's life. And as you just mentioned, Caleb, it's not that difficult to achieve because there's two ways to do it. You can not only make more money, but you can also spend less, right? There's two ways. So it's not this concept of, man, I have to make so much money. I have to make so much money. Understandable. And for some people, you do. The more kids you have, the more expenses there are. And for some, you don't. It's how are you currently living and how can you change that? So there's two ways to achieve it. And it's certainly not as difficult as I think some people may think.
Yeah, I think there's a huge narrative. There's a really big narrative about like we have to spend more money when we make more money. And until we change the conversation around like you don't need to overspend and you don't need to consume across America. And that's, I think, starting to shift in some people's mindsets is nobody's ever going to be able to hit the financial freedom if they're not able to cut their expenses back. Sorry, Jim, go.
Yeah, no, and I think like to add to what they're saying is like, and I think I would probably use a little bit slightly different word than what Ryan's using. I'd use the word complicated. It's really a very simple thing to do and achieve as far as like understanding it and the knowledge behind it. What's difficult though is the same thing that's difficult about dieting and about keeping your, not eating pounds and become overweight, right? So it's simple to understand. Like you have to consume less than you make, right? And it doesn't matter. We've all heard the stories of professional athletes that make millions of dollars a year. But if you make $1 million and you spend 1.1 or $1.2 million in that year, you just went into the negative. You went into the hole, and it didn't matter what you made because more money went out, and you're not actually getting ahead. And so why? Let me ask you guys this. So like our mission here at Three Doors.
Real quick, sorry, Jim.
250.
Can I elaborate one more point here? So what Jim said is right. It's simple, and some of the ways that it can simply be achieved is to practice simple habits, right? So it sounds like I'll give you two examples. One that I didn't do, and one that I have done. So one, I've read Simple Habits. You want to read a book and you find that you can't read a book. I have trouble reading every day. I'm still reading this book for the second time. It's taken me way too long to read this book again. And an easy habit to form to read that book is to put it on your pillow. So every night before you go to bed, hey, it's there. Oh, that's my general reminder that I need to read some pages every single night. That's a simple habit, a simple way to form a habit.
So the book that for those of you listening in and can't see the video, we are doing a podcast, Ryan. Haha, jab, jab, fun, fun.
Yep.
Is Mindset by Carol Dweck. Mindset by Carol Dweck, an outstanding book. And I think that's exactly right as far as habits go. Is like we often think too much about the mountain that we have to climb when little bite-sized baby steps, if you can just dissolve the obstacles that are in your way and make it easy to accomplish and kind of eliminate the excuses. Like if you have to pick up the book off your pillow before you can get in bed and sleep, like now you're holding the book every single day. Okay, like you've done half the battle there as far as reading it. Then you can open it up and heck, even just read a page, and then you've accomplished that habit for the day, right?
Yep.
So
second thing, Jim.
Okay.
Hold on. Yeah. Second thing I didn't finish, which was there is a habit that I formed. So it's Lent. I'm a Catholic, practicing Catholic. Give up some things. Also, always try to not only give up but do some things. So one of the things I gave up was social media this year. So I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on Instagram, specifically on my phone. There's one thing I do almost every day on both, which is wish people happy birthday. Well, not both, but Facebook. The reason I bring this up is because since we're talking about being financially free, since we're talking about this consumerism or this, I have to get this or get that, I can tell you that this is my perspective and me. Consumerism is all over social media. So just eliminating that one little habit has helped me tremendously. I'm not comparing myself to somebody else. I'm not doing that every single day, which has been liberating. So I want to just throw out a simple habit. If you are on a social media and it makes you feel that way, that is a simple thing that you can do to certainly change your mindset and help you with this financial freedom path.
Yeah, once you get off trying to buy the designer clothes and the name brand sneakers, the affordability of life goes much cheaper.
Well, yeah, and then being in our space, guys, like we see the investing gurus, the real estate gurus, they get our attention because they're driving some fancy car and say, hey, you can be like me. You can make all this money and get all these nice things. And the reality is that the wealthiest people I know, a lot of them, they don't value things. They value investments and think like an investor and want things to grow. I mean, for example, myself, like, humble, maybe this is a humble brag here, but I take pride in driving a 2009 Honda Accord that I've owned free and clear since I had it for the last 10 years. It's hail damage, so I got a check for $5,000 for the hail damage. I didn't fix the hail damage, and I drive this little hoopty around every day. Because to me, I see a car, and I see the compounding effect that I'm leaving. So like a cup of coffee can cost, I think we went over this last week with Mark King, but a cup of coffee can cost you over $30,000. If you're buying a cup of coffee every day, if you just took that money and put it into an investment vehicle, then that investment compounded and worked for you. So, so as far as okay, so let's circle back to like why we're so into this. So, 250 people financially free. That's what we've kind of put a stake in the ground. We've decided, hey, that's what we're all about. We want to help our agents and our agents' clients and our investors that are associated with our team here at Three Doors. We want to help 250 people become financially free. Like, Caleb, why is that so important to you? Like, why are you behind that?
I mean, for me, it serves a lot of my why. So like my why is to help other people get where they need to be. And I'm very passionate about financial freedom because it allowed me to do a lot of self-discovery in life that I needed through my mid-20s that a lot of people aren't open to having that. And then once I went through that self-discovery of like, I didn't work for 6 months and I just was like, what do I do now? I finally was able to figure out that like my higher purpose is helping people. And that's when I started talking to you guys a couple of years ago and you're like, we're going down this path. We want to help 250 people become financial free. I was like, heck yes, I'm in. And so maybe for me, it's a little like self gratifying. And like maybe that's bad, but I really enjoy seeing other people be successful. And that's what makes me genuinely happy in life. And the most important thing in life to me is being happy. So that's why I want to help people be financially free. It's because it brings me happiness.
I love that. Ryan, what about you, man?
Yeah, to me, it's surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded and people who are going to raise you up. So, that's the whole purpose of the 250 people, is that we can surround ourselves with people who are going to help us and not bring us down because of some of the things that, are plighting others. So it's for some of the same reasons as Caleb. It's because I know that by being around folks who are financially free, it's going to make me a better person consistently. So it's selfish, and I know it's going to be a good thing for others.
Yeah, I mean, it's all around the rule of 5. You're the 5 people, and if you help 5 other people be financially free, how many more people are they going to help?
Yeah, I love that, and that's my why, guys. On this is like, I mean, I kind of feel. I mean, we've been doing this 13 plus years now, and being in my late 30s and owning enough real estate to where I don't really have to like build a portfolio anymore, and I just can pay off what we own and be kind of set up and good. I kind of needed it like a different why. The initial why was just kind of survival, then the why became thriving and making more money, and then at some point, like, like I need a reason or a purpose to get up in the day and to be motivated. And that purpose kind of became, well, what gifts, what legacy can I leave for other people? And to me, it's like, well, I can't think of a better gift than to give someone not only time, but treasure, give somebody time to spend their day as they please, and actual money to do something with. I mean, when we're kids, we have time, but we don't necessarily have money to go pay for anything. We got to ask our parents for stuff, right? So, so then I got thinking about it. I'm like, well, man, if we unlocked 250 people into this, what positive impact can that happen? Like, whose kid can get impacted that starts the next big business, or who's, maybe someone else that opens up a charity, or who knows, but like, so then I thought about it, I was like, okay, well, I think I feel pretty good about my body of work. If we can do this, and the legacy that is left. So that's really what's driving me on that, as well. So, and
I love that the 250 number is so high and so big that, like, when I tell people that, sometimes they're like, there's no way. And I'm like, well, if I don't aim for it, I can't hit it. So, like, even if I aim for 250 and hit 200, at least we did it. That's why I love it so high.
It's a good goal if you kind of want to, like, shit yourself a little bit, or like you get like a little like queasy, like feel like you're gonna throw up or something. But I mean, that's kind of how I felt when we said it. I was like, wow, that's like massive. And yeah, I mean, we're up to about 150,000 a month now in passive income for people in our world. So that's been, we've been making progress. And like what we did though, guys, is we had a big, massive goal, and we chunked it down. We said, okay, well, this year, what baby steps do we need to do to accomplish? And then we hold each other accountable to it, and make little baby steps for it. If we just decided to magically help 250 people, like on day one, we'd feel pretty bad about ourselves, and we wouldn't get anywhere, right? So, okay. So like we kind of talked about this a little bit, like investing versus consumerism. Is there anything you guys want to add to that? Like, what do you guys, like what helps you kind of look at as an investor first versus just kind of having that consumer mindset?
I'll let you start with this one,
I'll
Ryan.
start. Sure, yeah. I'll start. So it's so interesting. So, Mark said last week in the same thing, we all think if we're given, $1 million, $100,000, $10,000, it doesn't really matter. The number's kind of arbitrary, but you're given some money. How many people out there feel the first thing they would do is to go and buy something, and then maybe they would, there was 4 things. I can't remember one of them, but it was charitable, and then save. And invest. Sorry. So that was the 4th. So buy, charity, save, invest. So, to me, I don't ever really think of buying things. I'm fortunate. I've got what I need. I've got what I want. I don't want for a lot. I'm a simple guy like Jim. I drive a Honda Accord, although that's going to change here soon. I'm actually getting a newer car, so I can drive all 3 of my kids.
Are you? So you're not going to get a Honda Accord again, huh?
No, but here's the thing. I am getting a newer car. It's practical. I am getting one to be able to drive all 3 of my kids. That's the only reason I'm getting a new one. I've got 3. I can't drive it very well in a Honda, all 3 of them in a Honda Accord. So I don't need a new car from a car ability, but from a functionality and driving the kids, I do. So I am getting something. Yeah, so to me, consumerism really never enters my head. I don't need for anything. I'd rather, when I've been able to be fortunate enough to get some money, the very first thing I do is invest. I'll give you a story since we're talking about cars. So we had the means. We've got 2 cars. We got a van, a very nice van that Lindsay has and drives, and then my Honda Accord. Well, when we bought the van, we had the means to pay it cash, right? And I said, okay, it's going to cost, I don't know what it was at the time. It was like something like $35,000. And I said, okay, instead of buying this cash, I've never financed a car. Let's finance the car. Instead, what I did was we bought a house with that money. I bought a rental property with that money. So I said, okay, so I'm going to buy a rental property with this cash. I'm going to finance this van, and the cash flow from that rental property is going to pay for the van. Right. So that's what goes on in my head. It's not like, what can I go out and buy? It's how can I invest, or how can I potentially make money on this deal, or how can I offset this asset? So that's how my brain works. And then charity and that's absolutely forefront is charity.
And then here's the thing, like, don't get us wrong. This isn't us saying, hey, well, don't get a nice car at some point. Don't go out and, if cars is what you're into and that's what, you really want a nice car. Well, it's not about like not being able to enjoy life, but what it is, it's like the right order of things. Find a way to make some extra money, invest it, then you can take the proceeds of that investment and then start buying nice stuff with it. But if you don't ever invest first, what typically will happen is just, okay, I used to make $100,000 a year. Now I make $200,000 a year, and I spent $200,000 and I just got a bunch of extra stuff. Well, then you're still on that hamster wheel and you're not ever getting off it because you just buy more crap, So it's really just a sequence of it. And then there's like a delayed gratification talk there that, oh my gosh, yeah, you might have to wait 3 or 4 years before you can really get that nice car if that's what you want. So, Caleb, you're about to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's like talking about this because I'm a huge person of like enjoying what you do, enjoying your life. And I spent 6 years of like living off $30,000 a year when I was making more. And so many people, we talked about this last week on the Mark King podcast, the third of the people that are never going to care about you. I think so many people get caught up on consumerism is like, I want these people to like me. I want these people to think I'm successful. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because they're never going to like you. So whether you drive an Audi or a Porsche or a Honda Accord, someone's not going to like you. All that's going to create is jealousy. You're going to have more people that are jealous of you. But if you drive a Honda Accord, less people are going to be like, oh man, that guy, And I personally, I do drive a nice car. I drive a Tesla, but it's a very
well, and I'm glad you brought that up. And here's the difference. So Ryan and I, we give Caleb all the time trouble about driving the Tesla, but Caleb's really into it. And Caleb earned that right to have the Tesla because, like he just said, he spent 6 years where he was making really good money, living off of a budget and reinvesting. And there gets to a point where if you invest properly over time, that you can really get whatever the heck you want because you just get so far ahead and your investing starts making you so much money that, then that's time to do whatever the heck you want with your money. Right.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Caleb.
So I think there's two ways, like when you can spend money on vehicles, in my opinion. So I'm very pro Tesla. There's no maintenance. You only pay for tires. There's no gas, no oil changes, especially right now. I drive 200-ish miles a day. My electric bill didn't go up. Everyone's gas bills are through the roof. So to me, when you want to drive a nice car, think about like what kind of cars aren't going to go down in value massively. Teslas, Jeeps. Don't go buy a freaking Porsches. Are going to go whoop through the floor. Don't go buy an Audi. They're worth nothing. But Teslas have appreciated in the last 2 years since I've owned mine. So there's sometimes when you can spend money and spend it smart. Don't go buy a brand new car off a lot though, guys. Never. Not smart.
For context, this is 2022. Gas prices are going crazy. So, that might not always happen. I do want to circle back to the very beginning of the conversation, which was us discussing like consumerism and, how does this and financial freedom. So I just want to bring the point to consumerism, financial freedom. When you're financially free, the having to keep up with the Joneses mentality, that is likely not something you're going to do because again, it's not a competition. You're financially free, which is what everybody wants. When you're financially free, you can want for a lot of things, but your needs are taken care of. So this whole mentality of this consumerism that we're talking about, it's potentially not entirely, but it's potentially going to be eliminated from your mindset of I've got to do this to keep up with somebody. Well, why? I'm good. my life is covered. Just
Be
throwing that out there.
be grateful, because when you have what you need, and you show gratefulness, and you every day, when I'm brushing my teeth, I talk about how grateful I am in the mirror to myself about something that happened in the last 24 hours. And I used to be on that rat race of like, I wanted to have this and that because everybody else did. And it was a very unhappy place. I mean, to me, like the financial freedom thing is all based around happiness and being content. And it's been so amazing. Ryan said the year's 2022. The last 6 months, we've seen so many influencers start to change the message from like, you don't have to make $1 billion freaking dollars a year. Just be content and be happy in life. And then you're going to go way farther, because we're not all meant to be Elon Musk. We're not. It's just plain and simple. I'm meant to be Caleb, and Jim's meant to be Jim, and Ryan's meant to be Ryan.
So Caleb, you recently were at a retreat that talked a lot about happiness and how that's like a key with success. Go over that again.
Yeah. So a few, like, I'll make this. Well, we got some time here. So, it was the study of happiness and like how happiness affects salespeople. So this guy, he went around, I can't remember his name. I should have wrote this down. I was going to talk about this another time, but I love this topic. He studied happiness in the workplace, happiness in real life, through hundreds and hundreds of people, even thousands. And there was one part of this study they did that I was really intrigued by. They had two very similar companies with very similar training structures that almost ran identical. One hired the most highly trained, like looked like they were the best on paper. And every person also took a happiness test before they were hired. And they did another study with this other company that they solely hired people that were content and happy in life for a sales role. And this was crazy to me, because sales role are usually these people that are like, I want more, I want more, I want more. And then they took the people that were happy and they had them start doing gratitude exercises. And the people that were happy, after 3 months, in 6 months, their happiness went up through these gratitude exercises, and their sales went through the roof. And everyone at the companies that were a part of the study, they never told these people that they were in a study against each other. But the people that were just genuinely happy and content with what they had in life and happy with their jobs sold 30, 40, sometimes 50% more of the product they were selling than someone that just felt like they had to be above everyone else. And he talked about a lot of other things around that. And it really rung home to me about we have to change the message from, you don't need to make $1 million a year.
Yeah.
But you need to be happy in life.
And I don't know why we do this, guys. This is like a human nature thing. One, to play the comparison game between you and other people. And then there's also this, like, if I do this achievement, then I'll be happy. Or if I buy this car, then I'll be happy. If I make $1 million this year, then I'll be fulfilled. If I get this, and it's just this quest for more, and it's this quest for more then I'll get fulfilled, and you tie it into that. And I've been there, guys. I can give you some great advice around this. Ryan and I were on a quest for more deals. If we do 400 deals, then we'll be, then we'll make more money. We'll be more successful. And it was just a focus, and the obsession became around more. We had a year where we jumped from a couple hundred deals, and we doubled the amount of deals we did. And we kind of scaled broke. We made less money that year than the years before that we were making, because we lost control of the business, and it was just this quest for more. And then at the end of it, we didn't have the fruit that we wanted. It wasn't worth the effort. So we had to really have a kind of like a gut check and make some modifications and changes. And since then has been, we've been blessed with a lot of success since we went through that challenge. But it doesn't have to be if I do this, then I'll be successful. Like right here, right now, you can kind of find happiness, and you can find contentment, and still be motivated and hungry to go out and conquer the world at the same time. But there's not any achievement that's going to completely fill you up. There's not any purchase that's going to completely fill you up. You have to learn how to be good with where you're at and motivated at the same time.
Hey there, if you're looking to get the ultimate edge for your real estate investing company, go to dorseydeals.com/invest for more information. Just so you know, a high percentage of the people that we interview on this podcast are actually already Three Doors Network members. And our network members have a lot of extra resources. They have access to an online training vault with over 3 years worth of content in it. They have access to vendor savings like our Home Depot discount that's literally saved thousands of dollars for members. And we have a weekly group coaching call, and we have a lot of other great things as well as part of the Three Doors Network. So make sure that you check it out on doorstodeals.com/invest.
There's not any achievement that's going to completely fill you up. There's not any purchase that's going to completely fill you up. You have to be learn how to be good with where you're at and motivated at the same time.
And the other thing is, if you keep saying like, I'm going to be happy when, like, if you're not happy now, why is a new car going to make you happy? Because it will for a short amount of period of time. But imagine how much of your life you're wishing away. Like, you literally just wish days of your life away, and time is so valuable just to get to something new. That's crazy to me once you start thinking about it.
Enjoy the process. Enjoy it. Enjoy the journey. That's what you just talked about, Caleb. That's what we're on right now. We're all on a journey. Everyone on this call, whether you're listening, whether you're talking, you're on a journey. Enjoy the journey. And then I'll give you an example of someone that's near and dear to my heart. So my father, if he would ever listen to this, I haven't told him this, so I better before he hears it. So he built a business and he was successful. He didn't exactly have an end goal, right? So we're really big into having goals. So right now it's 10 years, 250 people. And that's like 9 years now and 250 people. Well, when we achieve that 250 people, get that? When we achieve that, it's not going to be like, oh my gosh, we're done. No, the goalpost moves, right? So how does my father come into this? Well, my father was successful and I don't think he ever had goalposts that he moved, right? So by the time that he was ready to leave, he didn't ever have like a definitive goalpost. So there was never an ending, right? So while he enjoyed the journey, he never actually got to the end of the journey and was fulfilled because he didn't have an ending in sight. So enjoy the journey. We're all on one. And just know that if you enjoy it, there's never an ending per se. It's just, what's the next journey? What's the next journey? Right? So you've got to enjoy it because you're never going to be fulfilled if you're always striving for that next thing. And then you get there and it's just not enough.
It becomes a dark and lonely place.
Yeah, I love that. And so like, really, I mean, so this is kind of using Mark King's words, is that the financial freedom game is really like a game of opposites. So I mean, I've heard him talk before, and he didn't really get into this as much on the last call, but it's like golf. Golf's a game of opposites too. Like, if you want to hit the ball straight, you have to approach the ball on the inside. You can't try and just approach the ball on a straight line, because then after you hit it, it's going to slice really bad and it's going to go all over the place. And so financial freedom is also that way. Like, if you want to make a lot of money and become financially free, then you have to live on a budget and control your expenses. So then you have money to invest. So it's like, wait, what? I want to make more money and spend less, or spend the same? Well, that doesn't make sense. I have more money I can spend now that I made money. And so it's a little counterintuitive, right? And what blew my mind with Mark, and he shared this, I mean, he's like, if you Google Keller Williams, guys, it will come up, and you hit the Google drop down, and it says Gary Keller and then Mark King. He's like the number 2 in a 200,000 plus person company, or whatever the heck Keller Williams is up to these days. And Mark King talked about how he lives on a budget. Mark King lives on a budget.
I thought that was so amazing. He's like, I live on 10% of his income he lives on? 100%. And granted, he's huge up here, but still, like, guys, even if it's saving 10% to start and working on that and building that up as it grows, because it snowballs quick. Like, 100%, I don't think anyone can understand how quick investing compounds and snowballs if you don't let your lifestyle raise with it. That's the most important thing, is don't bring your lifestyle up as you make more money.
Okay, so are you guys ready for a fun story?
Love it.
All right, so this is one of the best stories I've had in real estate investing. So we get to see a lot of different houses at various stages, right? So one of our referral partners sent us a deal. It was an attorney. It was a probate deal. These her husband had passed away. She then passed away, and she was leaving her estate to distant relatives. By the way, I think it's like 2 or 3 distant relatives. So I go and look at this house. It's in North County. I believe it's in Jennings, but it wasn't a very nice area. And it had, kind of the asbestos looking siding. Wasn't asbestos. I don't know. Maybe it was. And then you walk in the house and, their kitchen was somewhat run down. She had window units for an air conditioner. You go down in the basement. He, prior to his death, was a pack rat, so there was a bunch of stuff in the basement. It was livable. It was a livable home. It wasn't a very nice home by any standards. So then I talked to the attorney, and he's like, "How much do you think this woman's estate is worth?" I don't know. Not much. She was leaving.
$10.
Yeah, maybe she saved. $4 million. These folks lived as if they didn't have anything, and they had $4 million in cash. And it was going to distant relatives who had, I believe, never met these folks. And I know she worked for the post office. I don't know what he did, but it wasn't like they made a ton of money. They saved and they saved and they saved. So
and invested it, and I grew. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. As far as the foundational pieces go on this, like the thing that I can tell you what works for me, guys, and I'm interested, Caleb, Ryan, like what all you guys do. So budgeting, we have a business budget, and then we have a personal budget. I have a family budget. What I use for my personal is there's a free resource called mint.com. And I try and spend as much as I can on credit cards that I pay off every month. But I have the credit cards tied into mint.com. So every transaction that I do, 95% plus, if not with checks, goes into this. And Mint allows you to create a budget, and then you can very easily compare what the budget is and what the spend is to like what you're doing. So that's the first piece, okay? Like just making sure I have the budget lined up. And then the second element that I do is I have a personal financial statement, a PFS, okay? And I track, I like to say I do it every month, but the reality is I probably do it every quarter, okay? I will look at all of my bank statements. I'll look at my investment accounts, my retirement accounts, and I'll put it all the balances in this spreadsheet. And I track year over year, what is it growing or is it not? Like the game of my life, what's happening? Okay. And then the best 2 questions that I've really found as I'm analyzing and assessing it, I got a Millionaire Real Estate Investor is a really good book, a quality book, guys, if you want to read it, like Gary Keller. And I think he wrote it with a co-author, but Gary Keller and somebody else wrote, what do I need to do to make my net worth grow? And how do I get my passive income to grow? So if you ask yourself the right questions consistently over time, get around the right people, then that's when you can kind of make a game out of it, and when good things can happen and good things can bless your life with. And so what I found with it is that, it's the same thing as dieting, guys. Like, do you really like eating a salad every day versus like that gorgeous cheeseburger, right? That can become a really difficult thing. Budgeting can be the same thing. It's not much fun. But I promise you what is fun is if you're tracking your net worth and you're seeing it grow and you're making a game out of it, that becomes far more fun than the opportunity cost of not getting that nice, shiny new thing. Because you made a game out of it. And then it's kind of like I use this analogy a lot with our sales team. We talk a lot about key performance indicators. And the analogy I like to do is if you don't know your numbers, it's kind of like trying to operate your business in a dark hallway with the lights turned off. if you track how many offers, how many appointments, you track your numbers, how many sales you're doing, how many closings you're doing, and you track it, it's like turning that light switch on, and now all of a sudden you can see what's working, what's not, what you need to keep doing more of, what you should let go of, and you can see everything now at that point. And without the PFS, you really are playing the game of business, the game of your life, with the lights turned on. You're kind of just moseying on along. Maybe I had a good year, maybe I didn't. I don't know. Oh, it doesn't matter, right? So anyway, so that's what works for me at a really high level. And it's really great to see, oh man, over the last couple of years, I've gone up 30%. I've done this, I've done this. It's really a lot of fun. So what do you guys do, Caleb, Ryan? This is something that we need to talk more about that we haven't talked as much about.
So I fill out a detailed personal financial statement about twice a year, always at the beginning of the year, and usually at my birthday, which is in June. And I love that. To me, it's been so exciting. I've done that since I was 18, which is kind of cool. And this is a little story. When I was 18 years old and I was getting my first loan, Chuck Unger, who was retiring out of the banking industry, I'll never forget this. I mean, he was in his 60s and super successful, highly successful banker. He had been a part of several buyouts and mergers, and had ownership in the Bank of Edwardsville, which for you guys from St. Louis know that was a huge bank in Illinois. I'll never forget sitting across Chuck's desk, and Chuck helped me fill out my first personal financial statement. And I was worth like $5,000, like really nothing. Right. And I'll never forget Chuck being like, hey, like the most important thing is that this number grows. It doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter where you're at today. It's that every year when you fill this out, this number grows. And I remember like thinking back, and I actually was thinking about this last night in preparation for talking about this podcast today, sitting there thinking it took me, I think 4 or 5 years to be worth $50,000. I think it was probably, I want to say 4 years from that point. And the amount of work I had to put in to be worth $50,000, and this is literally no lying at all, was so much harder than the next $950,000 I made to put to my net worth. And for you guys starting out, like that's what you have to think about. Right now, it's so freaking hard. It was so hard to get to 50,000. And then it just grew and snowballed because you have no money then. And then once you have a little bit of money, you have money to play with, you can invest and it grows, you can do more. So for me, as personal financial statement, I'm not a big budgeter as far as like having exact, I just check myself every couple months, and then I'll go into like a hole where I eat every meal at home. I don't go out. I don't see my friends for 2 months. And it's probably not the best for some people. But it works.
Well,
for
yeah.
me.
And that's the key, guys. Simple can be the best. I mean, a budget literally can be just, I'm not going to spend more than 10K this month or 5K, whatever it is. In my case, I have 4 kids, so I have to spend, I get to spend more money on these beautiful children, right? But it literally can just be that simple. Like, I'm going to track all my expenses, group them all into one, and I'm not going to go over $10,000 or 5,000, whatever it is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So don't let that stop you from doing it. Like that's this big complicated thing or is going to take a lot of time or whatnot. Sorry, go ahead, Kelly.
And then I had some years in my mid-20s where I went down in wealth. And then I remember the first time I became a millionaire, and I remember the second time I became a millionaire because I took a huge step back in my late 20s through income because of life events. But it's so cool now to think back. Like I know when those dates happened because I tracked through my personal financial statement. And I'm really big about looking back on memories. So I'll tweet to myself like, and I have a private Twitter, but I'll tweet to myself on Twitter like, hey, this happened today. And that way a future Caleb gets to see it. It's a really fun thing for me. Like I know when my first like big paycheck was. Every year I see it and I'm like, dang, it's that day. Like I got paid like this amount. So like I celebrate
life events. Yes.
Yeah.
Choose who you marry wisely.
Right. Yeah. Don't get a divorce because then you get to celebrate 2 different times of becoming a millionaire.
We can. Okay. Ryan, same question to you. Like, what are you doing or what are you not doing? What do you have going on?
Yeah, so I'm actually really bad about most of what you guys just described. So with regards to the PFS, yeah, we do it. Yeah, I do it mostly because we have to for financial reasons with the various institutions we work with. So I do know it. I don't have a specific time or date that I do it like Caleb. I don't do it quarterly necessarily like Jim. To be frank, I don't actually even do it at all. Lindsay does it, so then I look at it. And then budget-wise, we don't have a budget per se. So I'll go back to when at various times with Jim and I, we've had some really good times. We've had some leaner times, as Jim mentioned. And when we had some leaner times, Lindsay and I, what we did is we took a good hard look. So yeah, we've done budgeting. We currently don't, but if I had to, be very easy to get back to budgeting and to ensure that we could live within our means.
So here's the interesting thing. So there's different personality types, right? So like with Ryan and Lindsay, they've developed the habits to live. I mean this as a compliment. Don't like the word frugal comes to mind. Like they're just naturally, they're just not spenders on like they're in that habit. They've lived their life for the last 10, 15 plus years like that. And I'm on that spectrum too. So I would call myself more on the frugal side as well. So I was having a meeting with one of our private investors. And so we have about 50 people and about 20 million worth of funds that we invest here locally in St. Louis. And I was having lunch with one of them. And what he said is he actually uses the budget in a different way. He's in that frugal mindset as well. And he runs numbers and he has all the financials. He's an older gentleman that's invested very wisely and saved his entire life. And now he has a high net worth. And he has a budget because that's what allows him and opens him up to being okay with the spend and being okay if they go on an extra vacation this year and to realize the comfort of, wow, we've lived our whole life. We're set up. Like it's not a big deal if we want to splurge and buy a $10,000 whatever or a $10,000 vacation. He's earned that right. So it's actually for his personality type, a budget actually does the exact opposite. It gives him more peace of mind to enjoy life at a little bit higher level. So I found that fascinating, Ryan. So it might actually have a reverse effect on you guys. You might help. Spend a little bit more money if you did one.
So I want to make a comment kind of on what you're talking about because I'm not naturally frugal. And those of you guys that know me know that like I wear nice watches, I wear jewelry, I like that. But what I do is I don't just go buy that for no reason. I set goals and I reward myself. So when I'll have like, a urge like, ooh, I want this, it's something high end, I want it. I'll make myself have a 6-9 months, sometimes year goal of, hey, I have to make X amount more money. I have to close X amount more deals or do X amount more before I'll go buy myself that. And it'll be significantly more than what that is. And what that does is it hacks my brain into being okay with working 80 hours a week for 4 weeks in a row and literally grinding because I know at the end of that, I'm going to go fly to Florida and spend 3 days in Florida. So some of you guys, you might be on the other side where you're like, I need those rewards. And it's okay to do that stuff, but make sure you're proportionally making yourself earn more than what you're doing to spend, than what you're going to spend on that.
And that's a great reason why it's so dangerous to play the comparison game too, right? Like if you see Caleb like, oh man, he's got this Tesla and he has this nice watch. And then you have like a 20 or 30K flip that you do or a big sale on the agent side or whatnot. It's like, man, I want that too. I'm just going to go out and do it right away. But you don't see the 6+ years that he did live frugally, or you don't see that, man, he worked an extra 20 hours to get an extra sale that he just had play money because he had already had the other sales coming in or whatnot. So yeah, you have to be really careful there. So I mean, let's kind of, as far as like any closing thoughts go or whatnot, I will talk with my team member Ashlyn, and I'll try and get together like a PFS template that we'll kind of put on our Doors to Deals page and offer it out if anybody wants to use kind of the spreadsheet that I use on my personal stuff. There's a lot of resources online as well that you can do, but I'd give everybody an action item on this call, everybody listening in. Start playing the game of life, the game of financial freedom, which is tracking your numbers, playing the personal financial, doing the PFSs and kind of setting up the budget. What closing thoughts do you guys have, Caleb, Ryan? What do you guys
Every single one of you have at least 10% of your expenses you could cut right now through subscriptions that you don't even realize you're paying. I guarantee it. My challenge to everybody listening to this is if financial freedom is really important to you, go sit down, spend 2 hours and look at your credit card statement from the last 45 days and figure out what subscriptions you're not using. Figure out what food you're buying that you don't need to buy. Do you need to start shopping at Aldi instead of Walmart? Do you need to go to Walmart instead of Deerberg's? I shop at Aldi and I love the Aldi food. I would challenge everybody to look at your expenses and figure out how to cut your expenses by 10%. Because I'm sure that there's money there you can immediately start saving.
Yeah, I guess it comes down to like what you value, right? Like to me, like the number one thing is like investing in financial freedom. Like that's my number one. Like Stephen Covey says, put the big rocks in first, right? Well, that's the priority. That's the big rock. Well, how do I do that first? And Ryan, do you remember how much we cut? Like, so when I think when COVID hit, or was the year before that, we had a hard look at our budget and we were like, okay, like we need to run a leaner operation. And did we cut like 30% of our monthly operating costs over a couple of months? Do you remember how much we did?
Yeah, it was significant. It was more than 20, I think less than 30, somewhere in that range. And yeah, I mean, we took a good hard look at, as Caleb mentioned, all the subscriptions that we were utilizing. We took a look at every aspect of our business. And, if you take a look at every aspect of your life and where you spend it, it's really not that tough to cut. We've gotten into habits that just with a simple little change, you can find some money here or find some money there. So yeah, I would encourage you to do it, what Caleb just suggested, and try to save, because that's the easiest first step. It's making sure you limit what you spend. That's where people get into trouble. Typically it's not making enough money. Not to say that making enough money is not difficult. I'm just merely saying that typically it's not people trying to make enough. It's a great example of that is how many NBA players go into the NBA and then come out, and after they're out, have the riches that they just received. I believe I don't know the stat. I think it's like 90% of NBA players end up bankrupt. It's something super crazy high. And if it's not that, it used to be, because now they actually try to teach these guys prior to getting in how to live their life. Like they give them classes, legitimate classes on finances, because most of these people that get in there, they're young, so they have had no experience. They don't know how to manage millions of dollars. So what happens? It just goes out.
60% of NBA players, 78% of NFL and are bankrupt within 5 years. It's 4 times the national average.
And it's not because they didn't make enough money. It's because they never learned how to budget.
Yeah. And it's, that if game, if I make more money, then I'll be rich. No, it doesn't work that way. No, you have to figure it out. And I had this when I was the quest for more, like my knee jerk to this conversation when I was younger. I know what, like younger Jim, what goes on my head. Hey, this old guy, Jim, and Caleb, and they're telling me to like cut my expenses, take the time to manage my, and actually do a budget. I don't have time for that. Are you kidding me? I need another deal. I need to just make more money. I don't have time for that. Well, literally, I promise you, young Jim, listen to this older advice, this wiser advice. The highest, the quickest, the highest return on your effort that you can possibly do in your business is by cutting expenses and saving money. Like if you spend an hour going through your budget for the year and going through your expenses, and you find $1,000 worth of savings, that was $1,000 per hour that you just did on your return on your time. It's insane. Like and if you just keep doing more deals and then your expenses keep flooding up and going higher, well, like what's the point? The point of business is for a profit, to have a net profit at the end of the day.
So my
all right,
my,
well, wow,
my
guys.
close
Yeah,
real
go
quick,
ahead.
if you could, Jim. I close two things. One, I want to give you. So I just want to give you an insight into my mindset because Jim said that I live frugally. So I really appreciate the fact of a budget being allowing to spend because that's kind of what I need. So I just got back from a trip. We went to Phoenix. Really had a good time with family, and while I was at Dollar getting our van to rent, I chose the option of filling the tank up at Dollar, which normally I wouldn't because it's cheaper gas outside, but gas is crazy right now. So I chose to fill up. So what did I do? So we were there for 4 days. And for every time I got in the dang van, I was looking at the gas gauge, thinking to myself, oh man, I need to get it to empty. Oh man, I needed to get it to empty. Because I'm thinking in my mind, I can't waste money. Even if it's, 3 gallons of gas at $5 a piece, that's $15. I just can't do that. So that's a little insight into my crazy mind and how I think. And I did end up wasting like a quarter of a tank, which really frustrated me. And the thing I want to end on is I want to challenge myself as I would challenge anybody else. We got a coach, Eric B. is a great coach of ours. And he said, I think it was 2 weeks ago, how I do anything is how I do everything. That's a quote that I'm going to take. It's a quote I've been thinking ever since and been utilizing since. So how I do anything is how I do everything. Currently, I am not doing that budget. I am doing the PFS. So if how I do anything is how I do everything, I need to do the budget just like everyone else. So I will commit to doing that within the next 2 weeks.
There's a bold law. They always say it bold is how you show up in here is how you show up everywhere, which is the same thing. So I love that so much.
And what you're focusing on expands. So if you focus on your PFS, you focus on your net worth, guess what's going to happen? It's going to be able to grow because you're thinking about it and you're focused on it. Yes. All right.
All right, that's a wrap, guys. For additional resources, go to doors2deals.com/085. We also have a Facebook group. If you search Doors to Deals, you should be able to find us. If you're an agent trying to get into this whole investing game, reach out, let us know. We're happy to help any way we can. And then finally, most importantly, go out, live your purpose, and above all else, go after your dreams. Till next time. Thanks for tuning into this show. For more episodes and resources that will unlock Doors to Deals, check out our website, doors2deals.com.